what I fear the most would be that my whole life and my whole commitment is somehow taking a wrong tack for the modern world, you know. Probably, that does bother me sometimes. I mean, I'm committed to perceptual painting, I'm committed to the language of paint, and I mean, I could have been an abstract painter. I did that at one time. I could have been, pop art was probably more hip in terms of, you know, being an artist and part of the urban, modern environment. And I kind of rebelled against it, went back to like, you know, kind of 19th century, it could be thought retardataire realism, who knows? So, you know, like, and I see other people, everybody does heads, you know, but did something nobody ever did again, you know, like a configuration made out of bubble gum and spit, you know. Maybe I'd be more, you know, with it, but I do this. So maybe the biggest fear I have as an artist is that my whole life work has been a kind of taking the wrong road. Two roads, you know, like Robert Frost, that took the wrong fucking road, you know. So that certainly would be one thing that would terrify me, does terrify me a little bit, you know, because you put all this time in, you put your whole life in. Now I love what I do and all that, it's exciting. But then if you kind of look at it as the big picture, you know, has it been kind of a frivolous waste of time, you know? And you talk what I'm afraid of. I mean, you know, I'm afraid of my own willful personal decisions, you know, kind of destroying which is my natural instinct down, you know. I mean, that could be a fear. But I mean, without fear, you don't do anything, you know. You know, you gotta challenge what you have. You don't challenge what you have, you know, you're just a mealy mouse wuss. You know, you've got to take chances, even if it means, you know, even if it means failure, because success the other way is shallow. Well, you know, it's always discoverable. You know, like I might be painting a self-portrait, and after a while, you know, I have to switch to go out to do a landscape, and suddenly I get outside, and there's the fabulous light, you know, pouring over through the trees, and it hits a rock on the stream, and it's so glorious. And I'm all excited, you know. But then if I paint that for a while, I might want to go and do a narrative where I have a little, you know, or do a nude or do a portrait of somebody. I mean, by switching it up and like that, I keep my love alive by having variety, you know. And there's something Zen-like in that. And then I kind of find a freedom that could be questionable, whether it's just a formula of automatic painting, or is it, you know, are you reaching for some sort of profound center of that, you know, touches on truth. And, you know, like you have to switch it up a little bit for me, and that keeps it fresh and keeps me honest. Gives you some sort of freedom. And also, the thing that it's all about for me is like how to live in the moment. You know, like how to be alive. And you know, painting is a way. I mean, that's where I live. You know, in a lot of ways, most ways. You know. And so it's like you seize the moment. You make it, you know, you make the moment. You can hold it. Maybe if you're lucky, as it slides past in your hands you hold its trajectory for a second before it slips into the past. You know, and how to hold it. You know. Also, the idea of the painting is not like, it's not like capturing, but it's like riding a moment. It's like you have to. You know, it moves, it's going, you know, like, so when you paint, you do one thing and then that leads you to do something else, and you see this image, you know, come into being, you know, when it's really working. There's such an excitement in that when it comes into being. And, you know, then at the end, it's alive when it looks back at you, when it achieves a certain independence, you know, then it says, I am, you know. There was a poem by René Char where he saw this girl coming out of a subway, and he's going in, and their eyes met. It was this marvelous moment. And then she goes away, and he goes and gets the subways on the metro. He says, noble reality. I'm trying to remember, it's a long time I read it, but like something like noble reality. You can't, he knows it best who can let it go. It's like, that's not, the way people paint when they start, they don't let go, they hold on to it. They try to paint it as just some sort of, it's like soaked in vinegar or something, it's ossified and it's kind of perpetual, it's glued to permanence, but the later paintings of Velázquez, Rembrandt, Titian, they know how to let go, they know how to surrender to time, to life, to the passage of things. I think that's very profound. How do we get to that moment where, you say, well, it's unfinished, but any moment of your life is unfinished. The idea of perfection is a falsehood. We live in incompleteness. My father was a real perfectionist. And like when I went to high school, if I erased, I'd have to write the whole thing over. Or my name, if if it was sloppy, if I wasn't allowed, and so he took me up in the attic, and he got everything he got was on. He was a perfectionist, and it was difficult for him to deal with me because I was a different kind of person. He wanted me. So then later on, he got sick. He got cancer. He had heart problems right before he died, and he kind of understood something. And then for the first time, and maybe too late, there was a kind of a rapport, kind of a filial son, that we had in the last couple of weeks of his life. And I think because he accepted imperfection, and he became human again. And he liked the idea, like, you work on it, it's better, it doesn't necessarily make it better when you try to, fiddle with it. On the other hand, I was looking last night after you went to bed, I was looking at these blow-ups, and I blew them up, and they're worked on, they're heavy-handed, hand-fisted almost. So there's a quality. I mean, Hal's had a better hand in a way, but not as great an artist. So, so I don't know who's the great artist. I mean, Hal's can be pretty good, but Rembrandt is just spectacular. But on the other hand, he goes in a nose, it looks like little snot pickings, like a brush is fiddled and fussed with it and pushed it and came back, and going over, and it's like in a quagmire of indecision, trying to find the proper and this and that, and then bam, he goes somewhere where he keeps going with it, and then he comes out on the other side. It makes everybody else look frivolous and trivial compared to the weight, the magnificent weight and substance. Here's the bracing. So the way this is going to work, you got braces, these come off, these braces, right? Yeah. And then it folds in the middle, but you got to take the tacks, it'll crack. In other words, you got to take the tacks like a foot or so up and below the split. So here, let me see. I got this one done. Yeah, where's the crack? That's right here. Oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine? Yeah. You gotta squeeze with your hand, squeeze right there. Just let it bend. See what I'm doing? Okay, I got you. You letting it bend? Yeah, we're letting it bend. Okay. Keep going, keep going. Right down. You can look at the finger now. It'll be a stand. Okay, pull it down there. There we got it. See what I'm saying? I don't know if now, you got that roll, we'll put that in there. Where's the roll? The roll? Roll, get the roll? I got it. You got it? You got it, yeah. So this is, come on, slide it right in there. What I need you to do is a crease. I don't want no creases. You gotta lift up on your end. Yep. Then we lift the other thing up. It'll go right in there. Put it on in there. Now lift the other thing up. Yeah, the other one, you sit down. Lift that one up. Come on, man. What we're going to do, you can boards across, maybe on the top. Okay.
This is my studio.
Ruth, and this is your etching press.
This is a Griffin press.
Oh.
They're made in Oakland, California.
Oh.
It's a convertible press. It can print etchings and lithographs.
Oh, okay.
For many years I printed lithographs until I got sick of lugging the stones around the studio. So
Oh.
now it's set up for etching with a top roller and a bottom roller and a very beautiful bed made out of laminated wood. Here's some of my work. Here's a series of small etchings. I'm about to have a show in Fells Point of this story. These are some of them. It's called Faunette Gets In. And Faunette is a creature that's half human and half goat. So she's wild and she's in a house having to do housework, but she doesn't know how she feels about it. That's the War of Babylon meeting the woman of the apocalypse. And here's St. George and the dragon and some very bored-looking women who don't need to be rescued. And that was a difficult plate to etch because I had to pour the nitric acid on it directly,
Ooh.
which was very scary and probably silly.
Yeah, soft plate tone there.
Yes, I always use a very dark plate tone. And those small etchings were done with a method I've just discovered that was new to me called salt etching. And in here we have the salt etching bath. Perhaps you'd like to see it.
Yes.
This is a mixture of salt and copper sulfate,
Wow.
and it interacts with a zinc plate or any white metal. In this case, zinc. And it bites a very beautiful, clean line, and is common household items, not toxic.
It's probably safer than.
It's completely non-toxic. Copper sulfate is a farm supply that's used to kill algae in drinking troughs, so it's, really can't hurt you. Whereas nitric acid, I got so scared of it that, I decided it wasn't safe anymore.
Oh, it's dangerous stuff.
This
Yeah.
is where I clean the plates. These are the cheesecloths that
Right.
you wipe ink off in the intaglio process. This is where I soak the paper for the prints and where I blot it.
Right, the blotters.
I've got a lot of those. And then this is a fairly recent acquisition, my beautiful hot plate. A very dear friend of ours, John Sparks.
Okay,
You remember him?
maybe.
This was his.
Oh,
So
okay.
I acquired it after he died.
Oh.
And it's much easier to do etchings now that I have this. In this room, this is my storage of plates. And this is the important part, because in here, these are my etching plates, and I can print on demand any etching that's in my catalog. I have a list by number, and when someone wants one, I just pull it out and print it.
How many do you have listed in your catalog?
About 150.
Oh.
My paintings, this is what I have, stored. Usually if they didn't sell, I bring them back and I paint over them and try again. But this series are some curtains, which after my mom died, I found that she had saved from a house that burned down, a family house, so they have this nice quality of having been through a lot, but it's linen, you see, so it gives me a chance to paint on linen. So it's a kind of collage technique on linen, and then with some minimal additions in ink.
Oh, yeah, that's very nice. So you don't destroy the curtain, you just...
Right, you want to use the curtain
Yeah.
as part of the piece, and in fact you want to put the least things possible on top of it.